Hi, everybody. My name is Melanie Rogers, and I'm inviting you all to tune in to my show, Flip the Switch, How to Find the Light in Every Dark Shadow, every Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on clearsourceradio.com and iHeartRadio. Hey everyone, you are now listening to Flip the Switch, How to Find the Light in Every Dark Shadow on the Clear Source Radio Network. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Hey guys, welcome back and thank you so much for tuning in. You're now listening to Flip the Switch, How to Find the Light in Every Dark Shadow, part of the Clear Source Radio Network, where people inspire people. And also heard on iHeartRadio and Spotify, Spreaker, I believe Spreaker, whole host of places at this point. So I appreciate you listening in. My name is Melanie Rogers and I'm your host. All right, so for those of you who have listened, you know what I've been working on. You know my let me see, I don't want to say areas of weakness in life, but those lessons being learned as time goes by, which is what I bring to you lately. And one of those things is balance, of course, and living in the moment, trying not to, project into the future and all this kind of stuff, and enjoying in the moment. Not waiting for everything to be perfect, not waiting for that perfect man to show up in my life, not waiting till my house is in perfect order and all that, which I have done ever since I was in my 20s. Okay, so keeping you up to date with that is why I tell you my ventures, all right? I didn't come on last week because I decided, and this actually goes along the lines of what I want to talk about tonight, basically being a deep thinker and also being an overthinker. Okay, the differences and similarities and all that, we'll see where it goes. That's what's been on my mind lately, of course. Shocker, get it? It's been on my mind. All that overthinking, deep thinking, and blah, blah, blah. So, moral of the story is, if you've been listening to the show, you know where I'm going with this. I went to the Harry Connick Jr. concert, and you all know by now how much I love Harry Connick Jr. He's just probably my favorite celebrity crush for so many reasons. I think I will forever go to his concerts if he's in town or if he's close by. I went this summer. I told you about that. He's just so multi-talented, and I love his attitude. I love his personality. I love his attitude towards his family, his wife, his daughters. He's a really amazing person, and I was very much entertained by him this summer. He came to Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is only like an hour and a half away. And let me tell you, typical Mel fashion, which I'm trying to break out of, and I've done a good job lately, of overthinking everything, making everything, every decision, every little thing I want to plan on doing and such, things that pop up in the spur of the moment and all that. Overthinking it, thinking about it from so many different perspectives, it comes to the point where it's like, make a decision. Okay. So going to this concert was one of those big decisions that really didn't need to be. Okay. So yay me that I made the decision finally to just do it. So many things came into that decision. All right. You know by now how I think. So I'm trying to get away from this. I love being a deep thinker. I love getting lessons and such out of life, and that comes to me by being a deep thinker. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, so you'll understand, what really constitutes a deep thinker, or at least from one article's perspective. But it can also be exhausting when it comes to things like making decisions. Let me tell you, and it's been that way all my life. So one thing I suggest for people who have kids, teach them young to make decisions. Teach them to be 100%, what's the word? I'm struggling already for my words here. teach them to have faith in themselves, that they're going to make the right decision and not be afraid to make wrong decisions, because that's been a struggle for me all my life, is making, in some of the things it really doesn't matter. It's not a big deal, but I get overwhelmed in trying to decide what, I should do. Even everything from, going shopping and trying to pick out, I don't know, clothes or anything. If there's too many selections, I just have to make the right decision. So anyway, not a big deal. I'm breaking out of that because life is coming to me in that way. And I'm tired of stressing over things so much for fear of making a wrong decision. So that's the lesson in what I'm about to talk about right there. So yay me that I'm starting to live by the moment. You know that I've been practicing balance. That's been my theme for this year and pretty much last year as well. Practicing balance and letting go of control, looking at things from different perspectives, because that's what I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have much of a show, honestly. But at the same time, just living life without overthinking everything. That's been a huge thing for me. So I decided to talk about that this week because that's actually where I am in life. So going to the Harry Connick Jr. concert, by the way. Initially, I said, oh my gosh, Harry Connick Jr., I saw him this summer. I love him. He's right there in Chattanooga. It's only an hour and a half away. I need to do this. I'm going to do this for me for Christmas. But I held off. Then I went back and I revisited that. And I decided, okay, if I do that, that's this much money. I'd be irresponsible because I really should put that money over here. It's Christmas time, blah, 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 blah. All right? These are the words of an overthinker, by the way. A deep thinker, yes, but an overthinker, oh my gosh. So I'm relying on the show, by the way, to keep me in check. When I'm telling you this stuff, I need to work on it or else I'm not progressing at all, even in the show, and probably not inspiring anybody else to do the same. So with this concert, I went back and forth, and then I decided, okay, it's an hour and a half drive. If I go up there, I'm not going to want to drive back. I'll be tired and blah, blah, blah. Okay, overthinking it. It's an hour and a half drive. Who cares? Who cares? I'll probably be in bed before I normally am anyway if I drove straight back. But I wasn't thinking along those lines. So what did I do? I said, okay, I justified it. Bye. I know I'm already exhausting you. I get it. But I'm getting it out of me so that I don't have to think about it anymore. So I decided that in that moment, I was weighing all these options. Like, is it worth it? It's my Christmas, so I'm going to give this, my Christmas present, and I'm going to make it a big deal. I'm going to go up there, I'm going to rent a room. I'm going to put my rock star Rocky in boarding so that he has dogs to play with instead of sitting around, lonely missing me, because he'll miss me if I'm not there. And, trying to figure out how much is this going to cost? Is it worth a couple hours at a concert? So much overthinking. It was crazy. So anyway, I decided, yes, you know what? I deserve this. Then we go into the whole, it's Christmas time. I may be single. I may have decided not to go home. But then I started thinking, I'm going to spend this money to go to Christmas when I decided not to go home to visit my parents because of money. Because I didn't want to spend the money. It ends up costing a lot of money. So the responsible part in me goes, it would be irresponsible for you to waste this money to do this if you're not going to spend this money to be with your family. Okay? I know you're completely exhausted already hearing me. This is what goes on in my brain unless I make an effort to work on it, which I'm doing. Oh, great. Somebody's outside. There goes my rock star. So anyway, bear with me because he's not going to stop. I'm not going to be able to make him stop. So that was part of my decision suddenly was, it's going to be irresponsible. No, I'm just going to have to let it go. Then guess what comes into play? I start thinking about it and I think, you know what? You're cheating yourself. You're working on this. Rocky. There's a dog going by, so I can tell. So anyway, I go back into this frame of mind of, I deserve this. Why can't I go and do what I want to do? Why can't I do something nice for Christmas? I'm not going to go home and I don't know what my plans are and everything. Why can't I do that? Now I'm being irresponsible because I'm putting money above everything else. So like I said, here's a day in the mind of Melanie when there is a decision to be made. I put it on hold. I revisit it. Now, this is over a couple of month period when I first saw that he was coming to town. I revisit it. I decide, you know what? I'm looking at it from fresh eyes. This is my Christmas. I'm going to spend it. I get on there. I reserve a room, which was decent rate, but still expensive for just a night to spend, just to sleep. I reserve a little room for my rock star, and I take off work, which is not a big deal because I actually have use or lose leave, so it's not like that would have been a big deal really. And I get excited, made my decision. My Christmas is going to be, this is my Christmas gift to me, is going to go and watch this concert. Needless to say, last minute, what I decided, I struggled with it again. I finally dive in and I bought the ticket. So it's non-refundable. I did not buy the refundable $16 thing, blah, blah, blah. Now this is my frame of mind, is I'm going. But I start feeling guilty because I'm going to end up spending money that I should spend somewhere else. Mind you, it's not a ton of money, but I start thinking along the lines of it's just not worth it just to go up there because I don't want to drive back. So you hear how like my brain is like a blender sometimes when it comes to this stuff, and it's ridiculous, and I need to be distracted, which is also part of the lesson tonight. Being distracted gets you away from that brain space. So anyway, moral of the story is last minute I decide I'm going to enjoy this. I'm not going to make so much of a big deal about that. This is ridiculous that I'm making such a big deal about something, and I really want to do it. So I just put my foot down and said, do you want to go? Yes. You already have the ticket. Great. It's non-refundable. Perfect. It's good that I didn't do the refundable thing. I canceled my Rockstar's visit to the boarding, and I canceled the hotel, and I decide it's an hour and a half drive. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to spend, have some dinner. I'm going to go to the concert, enjoy myself. I'm going to drive back. No big deal. It's exactly what I did, and I enjoyed myself. It was amazing. He is amazing. Harry Connick Jr. is amazing, by the way. So I highly recommend if he comes into town, don't go back and forth like I do. My gosh, I'm trying to break away from this. I'm so trying to break away from these tendencies to overthink things and be afraid that I'm going to make the wrong decision that's going to affect me in a different way, in a different area. And just do it. Just do it. Live life, because it's December already, folks. It is December. And wasn't it virtually like last week I was saying Happy New Year, and I was saying Happy New Year at the beginning of the year? Because those of you who have listened to the show know that I've been saying Happy New Year throughout the year with reason. We'll go into that later. We'll go into that again closer to New Year's, because that's just such a lifelong lesson. So anyway, I went. Harry Connick Jr. is amazing. He does everything from tap dancing. He did his Christmas carols. He did his tribute to New Orleans, which was fantastic. He is such a comical guy. He's got such a great personality, such a beautiful voice. He did this thing that he also did at the concert this summer, which was, oh my gosh, it was just amazing, where he has 4 instruments. He's got 2 drums, one on the right, one on the left. He's got a piano to his right and a piano to his left. He started off telling us about a beat. It's very special to New Orleans, a basic beat. And he did that beat for us, and then he did the other beat, and then he did the piano beat, and then he did the other piano beat. So then he started off by doing that beat with his foot on the one drum. After he did a round of that, he added the different beat with his left foot to the right foot. So he's doing 2 different beats, 2 different instruments, which is amazing. My brain's going, the way my brain works, I probably could end up doing that if I practice, because my brain's all over the place. But then he added the piano on his right side and the piano on his left side. Here's one man playing 4 different beats, 4 different instruments, 2 hands, 2 feet, and it sounded amazing. You have to go and watch this concert. So, dedicated the first, what are we at, like 12 minutes of my show to this concert. That says, don't overthink it, guys. If it comes to your area, go watch it. It's amazing. Okay, and I'm not being paid for that, by the way. So, I'm just catching you up on the things that I've been doing, because everything ends up falling into line with what I've been trying to do in life. Okay, and I keep in mind the people who may have been following along with me or alongside me during this journey. So these are, as I progress in life, hopefully it's motivating and inspiring you to do the same. All right. Now, what else did I do? I will tell you, and both of these are significant. Both of these events are significant, by the way, to tonight's show. Overthinking and also deep thinking, which are kind of along the same lines and yet not. Okay. You can be a deep thinker, and you can also take it to the extreme like I have in the past and be an overthinker. Now, the second thing I did, and this was, oh my gosh, this was a lot of fun. And this was another very good lesson, very good moment for me, to tell you the truth, in so many ways. All right. We went to, it's called the Hunks the show at Electric Cowboy in Kennesaw, Georgia. The Electric Cowboy, a lot of people have heard of before. It used to be called Cowboys. It's a venue here in Georgia. It's a huge venue. It's changed a lot. So I used to love it. I haven't gone for a long time, so I can't really judge it. I know it's changed a lot. I used to go for country night many years ago, probably like 15 years ago I used to go. I can't believe it's been that long. A friend of mine that I worked with and a couple other friends would go. We'd take the dance lessons and we would just dance all night. But so they changed that venue a little bit. So we had this male review. Okay, don't judge. I'm going to have a show. You know I've had shows based on judgment. I'm going to have a show, and that show is actually going to be about that industry in general. Okay, the whole industry about everything from, I guess, burlesque, strippers, male reviews, female reviews, whatever, and how I've changed my opinion about that kind of stuff over the years and such. There's actually a lot to it, to tell you the truth, so I know I do not judge. So anyway, do not judge me. And believe me, I'm overdue. You know this. You know I'm overdue. So I decided, since I have been in my state of mind that I've been in over the last year and a half, I guess, and I've been telling you about it as well, is opening that inner box in my heart to love, or the possibility of, and feeling crushed, feeling, it's been a painful process, and you know that as well. However, in that painful process, it's been very important. So, as 2018 ends, which is what we're going to talk about a little closer to the end of 2018, toward the New Year show, about really taking out the good, the lessons of the year. And I think a lot of people have gone through a lot this year. And even though it's been painful, it's been a very, very, very harsh energy year for me. It's been very important, and I'm going to take out those lessons, and I'm going to use those lessons to help guide me more in the next year to become, continue to become a better person, more enlightened, everything else, and make wise choices and live a happy life. Draw to me the happiness that I want in my life. Okay. So anyway, moral of the story is I went to this male review. We had fun. We had so much fun. I went with two dear friends, and it was wild. I will tell you, it was wild. It is different than the Chippendale show. If you've ever been to like a Chippendale show, I've been way back when I was in Guam years ago when I was in the military. There was this venue, this place called Lights, which was the place to go, the dance place to go. And they had the Chippendales come in, and then they had the Playgirls. They were, I guess, the Playboy Playgirls or whatever they were called. And I saw the Chippendales twice while they were there, and then I saw this, and that's the last time I've seen anything like this. So in my frame of mind, that's why I even told my friends, I was like, this is either the best decision ever for me, or it's the worst, because it's going to make me feel either like really good and really relieve a lot of deep thoughts about, lack of feelings and such, or over feelings or whatever, or it's going to make me feel, I don't know, lonely. I didn't know. Here's me overthinking again. See, that's what happens. I was overthinking it. I didn't overthink it long enough to stop me from going, because within 5 minutes of sending this little invitation that we had on Facebook to my friends, within 5 minutes, my friend was on it. She's like, I got a table. I'm like, okay, I guess we're going. So needless to say, we went to this male review, and it was wild and crazy, but you know what? Everyone was having such a good time. That's what it was all about. It was about, obviously it was about, watching these amazingly handsome and talented guys up there fulfill every female's fantasy. Those fantasies that we're not supposed to have. But guess what? We're all human. We all have them. Some of us just lie about it. When I say us, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about, there's a lot of people out there that would criticize because they don't want to unleash the fact that there are fantasies in this world. Sorry, Daddy. Sorry, but you know what? It's just the way it is. We all have fantasies about that person. We all picture, I guess, a different version of our fantasy person, okay? And if it riles you up in some way, that can be a good thing, that can be a bad thing, whatever. So anyway, just pulling it apart here. We had a really great time, and part of my lesson in this, and this is what's really good about it, in overthinking is that, what happened? There was I met somebody there. I will tell you, I met somebody there. And it was just a brief moment in time, I guess, that I met him. And even in meeting him, my normal instinct, because I've been going through so much I've been going through emotionally, with my heart, I guess, my automatic instinct would be to put up a guard and automatically be like, I'm with my girls, we're going to go home, whatever. And I did what I did. I overthought. I thought of every perspective. Should I spend time with this person? Should I get to know this person? I mean, why should I? Because, he's a stranger to me. He's not even from here, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And that was a moment, that was kind of a test for me. So I did what I normally do. I went back and forth trying to decide whether I should spend any time with him. Should I waste any of my night with this person? Okay. Or if it's, somebody I'm not even gonna even know in the future, or probably won't, or maybe not know. The moral of the story is that I finally decided to get over myself and said, you know what, who cares? Meet somebody, get to know them, enjoy your time with this person. Okay. So that was another step in the process, because I've been working so hard in ending this year on a better note, letting go of that control. Stop looking at things in so many different directions that I'm trying to forecast how it's going to affect me, affect them, affect everybody around us, everything, which is what I always do. Therefore, I withhold my own happiness. That was the lesson, by the way. That's what I'm getting to, not the scenario in general, because, but the lesson itself was that I realized that in trying to control everything and overthinking, not deep thinking, because deep thinking is one of my best traits, okay, and I enjoy that, but overthinking. In overthinking, I have realized that I have given up a lot of happiness in life, because I'm always overthinking and trying to decide what the best thing is to do, what a perfect, so-called perfect person would do, okay? That being said, I spent some time with this guy. I got to know him a little bit, not long, because, really, we only had a couple hours. And honestly, being a total stranger, this is one of the many lessons that I got out of it, out of just living life in the moment without making such a big deal about everything, so worried that I was going to make some sort of mistake. I felt like I got treated exactly how I've been craving to be treated. Have that person sitting there beside me making me feel good about myself. And I feel good about myself, so that's the thing is, it's not necessarily about somebody coming into my life and building my self-esteem. It's about realizing that I've been consuming myself with other situations in life, okay, that I wanted for my happiness, but yet when I sat back and said, how is this really making you feel though? It was making me unhappy, okay? And within a couple of minutes, sitting with a total stranger and having this total stranger just be sweet to me, not fake, just pay me attention, actually made me feel he had a way about him, a charm about him that wasn't fake. It made me realize that that's what I desire. I desire to meet somebody who makes me feel that way. In that brief, short time of getting to know this person, very limited, I don't know him very well, but in that very short period of time, it made me think of the fact that I am consuming myself with situation that is making me very unhappy and that has been making me very unhappy. It's been such a challenge. It has affected my self-esteem. And then a stranger can come along, and instead of automatically putting up a barrier, I just said, no, live in the moment, whatever, I'll spend time with this person. And that stranger actually gave me feelings that I'm craving, okay? Was very, very respectful and sweet to me. We had great conversations and such, and a very limited time, like I said, but there's the lesson. Okay, I'm not harping on the situation, but what I'm harping on is the lesson in that for me, and in that, because I've been talking so much about all of this kind of stuff as life has been progressing. My lesson to tell you about is that when I stopped and compared, I allowed myself to just in the moment, stop trying to control everything and just go with life, go with life. And I was made to feel exactly how I wanted to feel in other scenarios, let's say, which made me realize that the other scenarios definitely are not good for me. Okay, so life lessons and everything. And one of those major life lessons, like I've been telling people, that I am learning, and I know in my head, but this was one of the first times that I've experienced it. So there's the difference. I have learned and been talking about it this year about when you release control of the outcome, you stop trying to control the outcome of any given situation, and you just, blind faith. You live in the moment. Stop trying to figure everything out. Not everything gets closure. Not everything requires closure. All that kind of stuff, makes sense. But this is probably the first time I've actually experienced it, to where it finally got my mind. I was living in the moment, therefore my mind finally disconnected from what I've been consuming myself with, feelings and thoughts in a different area of life. Okay, so that's one of the lessons right there as well. Living in the moment really does slow down time. Living in the moment takes you out of your head. Living in the moment, therefore, experiencing something, whether it's something you enjoy doing or a new experience, so you are paying attention, sometimes takes you away from what you're concentrating so hard on that's blocking anything else from coming in. Okay? So anyway, moral of the story is, everything I've done recently has really been with purpose in a way, even if I didn't intend for it to be. I'm learning a lot of lessons. I'm leaving 2018 feeling like I'm releasing myself from a lot that's holding me down. I am empowering myself once again, realizing what my self-worth is and what I want for my future, what I want in 2019. I want to live life. I want to enjoy life. I don't want to overthink. I want to be a deep thinker like I've always been, but there's a difference. So anyway, that right there, the reason that I told you about all those things is to catch you up, of course. And that's why, these are the reasons I wasn't on air last week, by the way, because of that. But it's also just to prove that point right there is all the life lessons and such over these situations. Now, that was to prove overthinking. That was to talk about my own experiences in overthinking, thinking about things too much. Therefore, a fear, basically it's based on a fear of making a wrong decision and trying to figure out what's going to happen from all angles. And, coming and being empathic like I am, I'm also thinking about it from all angles, from different people's perspectives. How's this going to affect this person? How's that going to affect that person? How's it going to affect me? All this kind of stuff. Sometimes, I have to, and, if you so choose to do so, pull myself, out of my own head, my own thoughts, and just flow with it. So, like I said, in that one brief encounter, I guess, couple of hours with this person, this guy actually did a lot for me. It actually helped me release a lot that I was holding on to. It helped me release a lot of expectations from, different parts of life and such. So there's that. Okay, me, the overthinker. I'm releasing that. I'm letting that go. I'm only bringing the overthinking things to you in the future because it makes a radio show. Okay, it's one of my things. So, okay, another part of, if you want to ever look them up, by the way, these guys are really great. They were actually really sweet too. I got to talk to a couple of them. It's Hunks the Show, and I think it's Hunks the Show on the Road, I believe. I don't have that pulled up right now. Look them up. I know that they're based out of Texas. And, I know that when they come back into town, I'll probably go back, if anything, to say hi, because I got to talk to a couple of them, and they were really, nice guys. So, and amazingly gorgeous, by the way. Of course they are. They are so talented. My God, I can't believe that. I watch shows like that, even shows, with women or men or whoever doing some of those dances and some of those, it's athletic. It's amazing, balance and everything else. So throw that into the mix. So, all right. Now what I want to talk about I'm going to pull it up right now. Deep thinkers. Okay. Now I have an article in front of me and I want to go through it because I found this article really fascinating. Getting past the overthinker. This is definitely, I talk about like empaths and stuff, and I've read different articles and talked to you about different characteristics of empathic people, sensitive people and such. And it's so spot on. That's what's eerily accurate. The universal stuff like Elizabeth Prue and all that, I brought that to you. I'm going to bring less of that to you because I don't want to steal her work. But I love talking about Elizabeth Prue because her newsletter is just so spot on accurate. But when I read these articles that come out and it is so spot on, I'm fascinated by it. And the thing is, we talk about synchronicity. Well, in talking about what I was just talking about, this pops up. And, excuse me, this pops up. This article out of nowhere, and you know how Facebook and Instagram, they're targeted ads. So when these targeted ads come up, and it's literally something I'm thinking about, pardon the pun, I'm talking about anything. I can be thinking about leggings, and next thing you know, I get all these Facebook ads. So that scares the bejeebies out of me. I think that they're looking at my retinas or something, even though I have my camera actually covered. So yeah, it does actually scare me that I can literally be thinking about something, and I swear to God, it pops up as a Facebook targeted ad. But anyway, me going through all this stuff, and of course it pops up as a targeted ad. So I read this, and I'm going to read through it and let you know. So you may be able to identify whether you are a deep thinker. Now, keep in mind everything that I was just talking about. If this is your first show, then you're thinking, my God, she's so crazy. Okay, go back and listen to some of my other shows, and you'll understand why I've talked about all this stuff and why I'm progressing to all this at this point. If you've followed along with me, then I think that you probably followed along because you probably can relate to a lot of this. So these are my own perspectives, of course, in trying to differentiate difference between these deep thinkers, or being a deep thinker, and being an overthinker that might actually be causing you to withhold your happiness, which is why I went into grave detail about both of those venues. Okay, both of those shows I went. That's why I told you about all that, okay? Because you may be able to relate to this. Okay, a lot of it has to do with trusting yourself to make the right decision, fear of consequences if you don't, and such. Some of it is protective. I know in a lot of cases when I can't make a decision, I'm protecting myself because the easiest way is to say no to this or that because of fear, okay? All that kind of stuff. So, we'll probably do other shows about it because that's, that relates to so much, fear-based and such, and where that actually comes from. And I, like I said, have realized that what it's doing is withholding my own happiness and allowing me to just set myself free to discover exactly what will make me happy. Okay, and that right there is based on how I am made to feel in different circumstances. How am I going to know that if I stop myself in that moment from overthinking? Everything from the concert to the venue, anything. I can give you 1,000 examples of that. And when you allow yourself to stop thinking about it and just, go with the flow, whatever, in most scenarios, obviously, and you experience it, and then you know how it made you feel, the effects of it, then that is actually a growth, a life growth, okay? So there's the deep thinking part right there. That is my deep thinking part about overthinking. All right, hopefully you're not dizzy. Okay, now this article I want to talk about is 8 strange things you do if you're a deep thinker. And this is what caught my attention. Now, I'm going to give the source here. If you want to look it up, I will post it on my Facebook show page. The Power of Silence. I will post it on my page. Like I said, it's got a long title here, but it's thepowerofsilence.com. And then it's like 8 strange things you do if you're a deep thinker, and then a bunch of other stuff. I think that if you pull that up, you'll probably be able to find it. But thepowerofsilence.com/8 strange things you do if you're a deep thinker. okay? Or just go to my Facebook show page, flip the switch. Now, what's interesting about this, just like reading the empathic articles and, the enlightenment articles and all that kind of stuff, is it's so easy, so much easier for me when I'm trying to get somebody or the general public or my friends or whoever, just in general, to understand me better, is that these articles are so spot on. They describe everything so accurately. It also validates what I think about myself. Okay, the empathic stuff, it validates that I'm empathic. This validates that I'm, not that I needed anything to validate I'm a deep thinker, but these are actual characteristics of a lot of people. So I no longer feel like I'm going nuts when I do start deep thinking, okay? Because these are so spot on accurate. All right, I'm going to read the article to you. Like I said, thepowerofsilence.com, 8 strange things you do if you're a deep thinker. Look it up. Save it. I'm going to read it to you right now. Deep thinkers are the kind of people who are easily lost in their own thoughts. They can shut off the outside world without even realizing it, just thinking and reflecting. People who have this trait also tend to be more intelligent and analytical than most. Well, sorry, that sounds like bragging there, but I like that. Possessing this characteristic will leave you with some behaviors that not everyone has. Now, this is new to me because just like the empathic thing, this is me talking now, just like the intuitive thing and the empathic thing, until I see that written or until I can really relate it, to me, I never realized that. To me, I think all people are like that, okay? I'm empathic. I just know things. I'm an empathic, intuitive person. I just know things. I can read things. I can read things into people. To me, somebody can walk into a room and I can see a scenario panning out. I can kind of know what's going on. And I've been that way since I was a kid. And I never realized that that was any different than anybody else until I was older and realized that not everybody sees things like that. Not everyone just knows. So in situations all my life where I thought, well, this is so accurate or this is so obvious, I don't understand why this person's allowing this to happen or whatever. I now realize that because of reading these kind of articles that are so severely accurate, it makes me understand that not everybody is like that we're just keyed different. So in this right here, just knowing that the whole deep thinking thing is an actual characteristic that not everybody has, blows my mind. I always looked at it this way. This is my perspective, once again, before I continue with the article. I always looked at it this way. Most people become a deep thinker when they've been through a lot. A lot of people who've had a hard life at some point, they become a deep thinker because they go a lot deeper than the surface level happiness or whatever. Okay, something happens to you. Many different scenarios. Something happens to you. A lot of times people kind of escape the situation by going deep inside. Or if you have something painful that routinely happens or whatever, I know a lot of people become, or this is my perspective, of course, this is how I look at it intuitively, is a lot of people will go deep inside themselves trying to find a solution because, living a situation or a mindset or a feeling or whatever over and over feels like you're trapped and you need to find a way out to look at things and be happier. So a lot of us will go deeper inside, try to understand ourselves, try to figure out how we're drawing a situation to us or whatever. Okay. So I always looked at that like that. If you're a deep thinker, you've had a reason to become a deep thinker, because if you are just a happy person, lived a very easy, happy life from the beginning of time with no real challenges, I'm talking emotional challenges, why would you really have a need to go super deep inside? Unless you are an empathic person, which now I understand is something you are born with. Then a lot of empathic people have a desire, even if things are lighthearted through life, they still need to go deeper. We still need to go deeper. We need to find a purpose. We need depth in our lives. Our relationships need to be full of depth and such. Okay. So that's just my perspective of it. But it's interesting that they have this written that not everybody is, has that as a characteristic. So here's 8 strange things you do if you're a deep thinker. Number 1, you analyze the past. Holy Moses. Okay. Here's my words again. How many of my shows have I had like my Mel's Eureka moments by going back at all different times in my past, not just childhood, we're talking my whole life kind of thing. And I analyze it. I analyze everything from trying to figure out what maybe triggers me in different areas of life, or how I became who I am, who I'm supposed to be, trying to get those layers off of maybe experiences I've had that have suppressed who I am and stuff. So that takes an analysis of your past, okay? And I've always done that, trying to use those scenarios to strengthen me, to heal, and be the authentic person I'm supposed to be. So here's their analysis. You analyze the past. The past is long gone, but you still tend to dwell on it. You spend a huge amount of time going over things that have already happened to see if there's anything that you might have missed. Along with that, you like to reimagine past events and figure out how you could have done things better. I do that all the time. I'm always thinking, how could I have done this better to get more out of the situation, or get the results I would have wanted? Like, how could I have done better? A lot of those are romantic and, situations over time, over my whole life. A lot of those I'll look back and think, how could I have handled this in certain situations, like early on, and being in bad situations, being kind of messed with in my mind. My first real scenario was a horrible one. And I've gone back to that before, thinking, if I had that situation right now, how would I handle that? Because I would recognize that manipulation. I'd recognize that emotional, oh my gosh, it was horrible. It was being played with like crazy emotionally. So now that I'm much more wise, I guess, and such, and have learned so many life lessons, those are things I look back at. I also look back at certain scenarios and think, okay, how could I have handled this particular scenario in a different way to where we wouldn't have broken up? Or this a different way to where we would have broken up earlier, or, whatever the scenario is. A lot of those are romantic, but a lot of those are other things as well, not just the romantic things, trying to figure out how to do things differently. Okay, but those are good examples. Okay, so you spend a huge amount of time going over things that have already happened to see if there's anything you might have missed. Along with that, you like to reimagine past events and figure out how you could have done things better. Okay, number 2 is you spend a lot of time alone, and this is what I do. I keep trying to go and do and get out there, and I do a good job of that, but I come to a point where I end up roosting at home. That's an empathic trait, of course. We have to get rid of that energy that's built up. We have to have time to ourselves to build that back up and such. So deep thinkers tend to be introverts. I've explained that before with my show about the oh my gosh, I can't even think of what I am. I talk about it all the time, and now I can't think about it. But the test that we do to figure out our personality traits, and a lot of people would think I was an extrovert. I am an introvert that is very social. And there is a difference. An introvert will take things internally, and eventually we have to get rid of it. We have to have time alone to get rid of it and build our own situations back up and our own energy. So deep thinkers tend to be introverts. Since they have a lot of noise going on in their own heads at any one time, being around too many people can be overwhelming, and that's true. We're trying to concentrate on other people, conversations, everything else. We're picking up their energy. Half the time picking up, what they're thinking. I swear to God, half the time I do that. I just know the room a lot of times. And when you have your own stuff going on in your head, sometimes it's really hard to pay attention to any of it. It's just a lot of chaos in our heads. Okay. That's why also, like, being loud, somebody being anxious, that bothers me. If somebody is hysterical, I can't handle that. I can't handle that energy. It's too much emotional stuff combined with everything in my head. It's too much. Okay. So, you find that you'd rather spend your time alone than with lots of people. It gives you a chance to reflect without interruption. There's a lot of times I'm 50-50. I'm still a social person. I like to be around people. But a lot of us tend to like to be by ourselves, but then we feel lonely. Like we feel like we should be out there with other people, but we need to be alone. So, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but being alone, as long as you're used to that, like I am, been without a relationship for so long, and using that time to fill my cupeth back up, which was one of my recent shows, by the way. It might have been my last show a couple weeks ago, I think, a few weeks ago. So anyway, as long as you use it for your highest good, I guess, then you can handle it. Number 3, you look at things from every perspective. Ta-da! Here I am with a show that's been on for going on 3 years now, and that's what it's about, perspective. So yeah, I'm a deep thinker, that's for darn sure. There aren't just two sides to every story. There's an almost endless amount of sides. When looking at something, you like to get every perspective on it. Use this tactic to help you make decisions and to understand people better. Okay. Now, how many people out there can relate to this part? As you become more of a deep thinker, as you become older in age, wiser, more enlightened and such, do you become less judgmental? I'm working on that, and I am becoming that. There are situations in the past, and I have one kind of brewing in my head right now, where the past me would look at it black or white. It's either right or wrong. That's it. There is no in between. But looking at things and becoming so good at automatically looking at things from everybody's perspective, I've come to realize that not everything is black and white. Nothing is black and white in all actuality, except actual black and white, okay? Nothing is really black and white. That there are so many sides to so many situations, and even situations where it looks like somebody is doing something really wrong or just making a bad decision. I can look at it from so many perspectives and think, you don't know what's going on with them. You don't know what they're battling, what they're dealing with and such. That is an effect of being a deep thinker. So a deep thinker, I think a deep thinker in early age, this is my perspective, this is my experience, a deep thinker in early age might be very judgmental. And I was, black or white, right or wrong. High morals, everything else is just wrong. To becoming older and seeing different people and experiencing different things through other people and my own experiences, and also looking at things from so many different perspectives, it helps make me judge a lot less. It's like there's so many reasons that lead people to do different things, even if we look at that particular action as wrong. Okay, so it's helping me in this world. It's helping me actually show love, unlimited, unconditional, without being so judgmental. Okay. He who, oh my gosh, I can't think about it. I can't think of what it is. Okay. Glass houses, cast the first stone, glass houses, all that, So anyway, it really makes sense. Okay. You plan a conversation before it happens. This is funny. When you know that you have a big chat coming on with someone, you like to think about what you're going to say first. More often than not, you end up planning an entire script of the conversation with both your part and the other person's. I have done that my whole life. I have actually pictured the whole scenario before in my head and how I want it to go and the points I want to make. And I picture, the response. I plan that out. And I always thought, oh my gosh, what is that all about? Why can't I just react? Why do I have to be so controlling that I have to plan it out beforehand? Now I realize that it's not necessarily, in my case at least, or in general, being overly controlling of the conversation or being a controlling person. It's simply that I'm such a deep thinker that if it's an important enough conversation, it's not random. Okay, and that's what happens. So I thought that was one that was put in here that I thought was the most interesting, and honestly, that's what really connected to me to this article the most. Is that I've never heard that before. I've said it before. I've told people before. I've talked about it before, how I do that, but I've never seen it written as a trait, and that's an actual trait. So let me see, how much time do I have left? Okay, I'm running out of time. Number 5, you're extremely curious. Your main mission in life is to learn more about the world around you. Oh, my lordy, this is so me. Everything and everyone has more to them than what meets the eye, and you want to see it all. You find out how things work, the history behind them, what people think about them, and just about everything else too. Now, right there, my curiosity, obviously, it comes out on the show because I like diving into all life things. But that's also another great area of life that openness and being curious has stopped me from being so judgmental. Just that statement there about everyone and everything has more to them than what meets the eye, and you want to see it all. I truly am curious enough to see it all instead of stopping, like I said, black or white, immediately stopping and judging. I want to see what created the scenario. If somebody does something that people judge, I'm curious to see what led to that. Even serial killers. I don't immediately, I might despise their acts, but I don't immediately despise them because I'm curious what pain or what issues have built up to create that person. Okay, because there's always a sad story behind it. You don't just do that. Okay, so many different areas in life. If you cheat anything that would be judged, believe it or not, I've become really good at understanding everything leads somebody to a certain place. Okay. And I've experienced so much just by watching other people in a lifetime. I've been in the military. I've been around so many different groups of people, and I'm a people watcher. So it's interesting being able to open up and be curious enough to want to understand what creates situations instead of judging it right off the bat. So there's that one. Number 6, you're empathic. Shocker. Here we go. It may surprise you. No, it doesn't. It may just surprise you to know that not everyone feels strong empathy. At first it did. Like I said, I thought everyone felt like I do. Okay. But, I've learned over time they don't. They especially don't feel it like you do. You are extremely caring and want nothing more than to help people. Seeing someone in pain upsets you greatly. I cannot watch those commercials anymore I'm an animal lover. I am aware of what happens. I am aware children are starving in the world. I am aware that there are homeless people. I am so aware that there's so much pain out there. I'm so aware of it. I don't try to block the knowledge behind it. I don't try to block it and say, okay, if I'm unaware of it, then it doesn't affect me. But I can't watch it on TV. I can't listen to the cries when they put it on TV, all that kind of stuff. It hurts. I feel it. I actually sometimes really physically feel it. So there's no shocker that empathy is on there. Okay, number 7, you like to people watch. I'm such a people watcher. I'm so curious about people. Busy streets, cafes, beaches, parks. These are all places where you like to just sit and watch. You love seeing what people You love seeing what people are doing. Okay, they just made a mistake there. What people are doing and where they're going. As well as that, you often end up creating little stories about the people that you see there too. That's what's interesting. One of my favorite places to people watch is the airport. Every time I fly somewhere, I sit there and I picture all these people and I look around and I watch them and I think they have such a history. Everybody here has such a unique history and everyone is so completely different. And I look at somebody and I kind of create this image of their life and I watch them and I try to figure out their life based on everything. If they seem shy, if they seem insecure, if they seem, however they seem, I try to build a scenario around them. So that makes life interesting. Okay. Number 8, you're open to everything. Intelligence is something that can only come from being willing to see things in a different light. Hello? What is the show about at this point? Okay. So I was meant to end up where I am, in the show and everything else. You're extremely open-minded about other people's ideas and opinions. Likewise, you love to experience new things and see the world through someone else's eyes. I do. I really do. I love trying to put myself in other people's shoes, understanding them better, because to me, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm actually like a kid in school. To do that helps me learn more about life. It helps me open up my own options and handling things in a different perspective. Okay, let me finish this first. I'm going to go back to that thought. Being a deep thinker can take a lot of energy from you, but it opens you up to a world that's not everybody can experience. Remember to take time for yourself to relax and calm your thoughts. Okay, that's the end of the article. So anyway, along with that last one right there, being able to step into somebody's shoes, this is how this has helped me. With my tendencies, as I started off the show by talking about being an overthinker and how extreme it can be and has been in the past and how I'm really working on that. Different scenarios that were, where I would put up a block immediately, fear-based, that I was going to make a wrong decision, looking at it like, oh my gosh, what's the outcome? Is this going to make me look bad or feel bad or hurt this person or that person or whatever? Okay, that's all based on fear of making the wrong decision, okay, and whatever consequence. That stops me from living life. That stops me from being in the moment or being happy, even if it's in the moment. Now, told you how just changing that and looking at things in a different way, less controlling and such, and just going with the flow can change everything. Like the scenario I told you, meeting the gentleman. It could have been didn't mean a thing to him whatsoever, anything we talked about and, being with me whatsoever. But there were so many things in that actually open up my eyes to things. And like I said, living in the moment, refocusing, starting to look at things like, okay, this is the way I want to feel. I want to feel this way instead of this way over here and such. Part of that in making a decision whether I was just going to hang with my girls or if I was going to go and I was going to give this guy an opportunity to, get to know me a little bit. And some of the things I did, and I struggled with this. Believe it or not, I know to most people it's like, okay, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. Well, I struggled with it because to me it's a waste of time. If it's a scenario where it's like, this isn't going to go anywhere, how can this go anywhere? Okay. It's a waste of time, which makes dating for me difficult, by the way. Like online dating or anything like that is difficult. It's a waste of time because I don't have a connection or whatever. But what I do in trying to make a decision, in this case, in trying to make just this decision on spending the rest of the time with this guy, this total stranger, or hanging out with my girls and just making it a girls' night, is putting myself in other people's shoes. I put myself in other people's shoes. What would this person do? This person's always happy and they're lighthearted and they don't have this major thing going on in their minds. They don't, whatever. What would they do? So I started looking at it that way. I started putting myself in other people's shoes, looking at things from different perspectives, trying to live through other people in their lighthearted, in the moment kind of ways. And that helped. Okay, so these are the things from being a deep thinker, and I really enjoyed this article. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because like I said, really overthinking about the whole concept lately. One of my new goals that I'm now working on as of the last week, basically, is to differentiate me being a deep thinker, which I will always be, and it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. And me being an overthinker. And when I'm in a situation where I am actually struggling, I had scenarios, and that's actually what I wanted to talk about too. I had so many scenarios to bring up. And the funny thing is I was talking to my dad about this earlier, and that's what brought up this whole show, by the way, because I really wasn't sure what I was going to talk about tonight until I talked to my dad. And I was telling him about different scenarios I had where making a decision was really hard. Getting my house, getting my car when I had my convertible out in California, everything from that to getting my dogs and how my dogs and my cats ended up in my life, everything like that. And my dad said, he's like, what I'm hearing is that you're always leaving it up to just happen. You just gave me a list of things that you wanted, and it was about a dog. And he says, but you're just leaving it to just happen that way. So I explained to him how struggling over making the decision for my house was hard. Making the decision for my car was hard. Making the decision whether to or not get my different dogs was hard. And how I happened upon them when I finally decided I was letting go of that and stopped looking. There they came. There they came. Literally, this person, as far as meeting this guy for just a few hours, this guy who made an impact on me, I had just literally made a decision that I needed to let go of a situation that was causing me pain and wasn't going to go anywhere. And when I made that conscious decision, this other person came into my life to help me get my mind off of it. That's why it was such a huge impact. Somebody can enter your life for a matter of a couple of hours and make an impact. Letting go of control, letting go of things, and really relying on the universe. Like I said, I wish I could tell you the stories and the details about the car, my dogs, my house, because it was really interesting, and I never thought about it until I was talking to my dad. And when I started telling him the different stories, it made me realize that happens with me, which gives me more inspiration to let go, put it out there, what I want in general, how I want to feel, the person, the kind of man I want to hopefully meet at some point. I want to think about how I want to feel instead of concentrating on their characteristics or even the feeling in my heart towards certain people, because my heart gets me in trouble, honestly. But my heart connects with people who give me a really good lesson in a good way, not in a bad way, but I get a lot out of it every single time my heart connects. But I'm realizing now that it's not even a matter of trying to figure out this makes sense or that makes sense or my heart's connected to this person. It's a matter of letting go and putting out to the universe how I want to feel. And I may turn the corner. I always say I'm going to turn the corner someday, and I'm going to spill my hot coffee because I'm just that clumsy on my soulmate. I'm going to look him straight in the eye as I'm calling 911 for his third-degree burns, of course. And we're just going to know. It's like, okay. And I'm going to feel that feeling that I've always wanted to feel instead of analyzing it and trying to figure out what's right. Okay? So living in the moment is part of this whole thing. Letting go and letting whatever, putting out to the universe less about the details of what you want and putting out how you want whatever scenario to make you feel. Picture your house. How do you want to feel in that home? Picture your car. How do you want to feel when you're driving that car? That might be a better way to put it out there to the universe. How do you want it to make you feel? And then that particular car will come into your life. All of a sudden you'll notice it like I did. That home will be around the corner, like happened to me. I turned the corner and there it is. Okay, once I was lost and so tired of looking for homes and everything else, all of a sudden there it was. And it was on my listing, never even knew it. Okay. I hope that you got a lot out of tonight's show. I really appreciate you listening in. I'm excited to start talking about like getting all oriented toward 2019. Next week we have a Christmas show I'm hoping to come on. Not 100% sure if I'm going to do it on Christmas or not. I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to come up with a really great show. But the week after that, I really want to talk about gearing up for 2019 with a lot of these lessons learned. 2018 was filled with lessons, and I'd like to pass them along to you so that we all live a wonderful, wonderful, goal-oriented and happy life, you know. So I thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned right now for Tiffany Lewis on Be the Change coming up next, and I will talk to you all hopefully next Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on clearsourceradio.com. Good night, everybody.